Hey YouTube, this is MindTech. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite note-taking app on the iPad. There are a lot of different apps out there. I've really been using this one app for a really long time, and what I really love about it is that it works on many different platforms, it works in the cloud, and it just syncs up perfectly. So without any further ado, let me show you what my top pick is. Let me first go over what my bottom pick is, which is the Apple Notes application. Now this does get the job done, and one of my favorite things about it is that it is very well entwined with not only the iPad, but also your iCloud account, so you can access your notes on your Mac or your iPhone. And I also like you can create a little quick note right here, and you can link this to different things you're looking at. So let's say you're on google.com, and you're like, man, I really like this image, so I'm going to create a little note for www.google.com, and it's just enough space for you to create just a little sticky note or whatever, and then save that to your Notes app. And then if you go back into Notes, you can view all of your quick notes in one convenient place. But other than that, Apple has been trying to make it so that you can organize your notes a bit better using things like tags. I really tried to get the tags to work for a while, and I was able to create these kind of smart folders, but the big problem that I've had is that they're kind of janky. If you have a handwritten note and then you try to add something like text so that it recognizes the tag, the text can really mess with the handwriting. And if you're trying to do like handwriting recognition, it won't really understand what the tag is. So you can see what I did here. I tried to add the tag, but it just did not work out. So what you end up with is just this big conglomeration of a bunch of random notes. You can see that I have notes that were taken with my Macintosh. I have notes taken with my iPhone. The auto titles don't really work out that well, so you don't really know exactly what you're looking at. One other problem that I've had with it is the customizability. Let's say you make it big, you can't zoom in at all. And I can change the perspective, which is nice, but all it does is make the text smaller, but you can't really choose the exact size that you want to see. What I'd really like to do is be able to zoom into the note, because I find that if I can write bigger, I generally end up with better handwriting than I do when I write smaller strokes. Now, one other thing that I really wish that the Notes app had is for the ability to move past the canvas size that is automatically set. If I try to scroll over to the right, I can't do that because the canvas is only a certain size. And that's really annoying, especially if you want to have a long sentence or maybe draw a diagram on the side. So with all those complaints out of the way, you're probably like, well, MindTech, what is the Notes app that you use? I've had an Office 365 subscription all throughout middle and high school, and now I have one throughout college. So the number one pick for me is Microsoft OneNote. It is very easy to organize all of your notes together. You can create a notebook for each of your classes, as I've done over here, and inside of the notebook you can create different sections to organize. So for example, for one of my classes, I have a different section per week, and inside of each week I have notes depending on the type of lecture the professor is giving. But for other instances, I have classes where I just have a section with all of my notes in it, and that works fairly well because all of these notes that I have, I know are all going to be related to the class, whereas in the Notes app, I don't really know what note is what. Now, although it is somewhat difficult to see exactly what the note is titled, what OneNote does, instead of trying to do a text-to-speech thing to title your notes, they'll just take everything that you've written in the title and put it right on the section header. And even for other classes, I've separated the notes based on the discussion sections here. If I want to reorganize my notes, it is very easy to do so. All you have to do is go to the dots, click on edit, and you can select the notes that you want, and you can either delete them or move them to either a completely different notebook or just a different section of your notebook. Some of the things that I really love about the customization, you can zoom in to a pretty good distance. So if I just write hello there and then zoom out to about 100%, as you can see, you can get a really good zoom in. And also you can scroll for however much that you want. So I can zoom all the way out, I can have a line. If I go to 100%, you can see how far that line goes, and it'll just continue for you. So if you want to write a really long sentence or have a really long diagram, you can most definitely do that. You can also do a lot to customize your canvas. You can switch the background if you're a dark mode user like me, but you want to have light mode notes. You can also change the paper color, and one thing that I use all the time is I change the paper style. So I can actually have it be like a traditional notebook page, so I can stay in the lines. You can do grid lines, or you can also have really, really small lines past college ruled. You also have a lot of customizability on the pens that you have. If you're wondering, they do in fact work with Apple Pencil 2. If I double tap on the side, you can see that it is changing between my eraser and my last used pen. You can also do the Lasso Select like you could do in the Apple Notes. And although this is kind of an off and on experience for me, honestly, because you have to select everything. If I wanted to select hello and move the highlight, this is only going to move hello because I didn't have the whole highlight selected. So that has been annoying in some circumstances, but in a lot of circumstances, this makes it a lot easier if I am taking notes in class and I decide that I want to change the format, maybe even make it so that the text is smaller, whereas just in Apple Notes, all you can do is move the text around. And plus, you do have an eraser that can either be a stroke eraser, where you just erase a big stroke at once, or you can also make it into a small or medium eraser, and I found in different circumstances both of those work very well. Of course, you do have shapes also that you can insert directly into OneNote, as if you were using something like Microsoft Word. So I can do a square, and a lot of the time I do lines or something like this, try to make a graph for a function in math class, just so I can make it look a bit neater, and then I can go in with my pen and draw whatever type of graph I want to draw. One other interesting feature that both Apple Notes and OneNote has is ink to shape. So if I try to draw a triangle, it will approximate that to a triangle. Unfortunately, it doesn't do that for lines. And finally, OneNote does have a very good contrast between text and handwriting. So if I enter text mode, I can enter something right there, and it's very easy for me to select that text and move that around my notebook, whereas in Apple Notes, the text thing kind of goes right to the bottom or right to the top, and it's very frustrating to try to find exactly where it is. Here's a notebook that I had, which had a good combination of text taken notes, and it also had handwritten notes right over here, and it was very easy to not only go into the margin, but also just start drawing. I didn't have to worry about where I was. I could just do a drawing there, and then if I wanted to insert an extra text box, I could really do that wherever I wanted to, and I could move that text box around, as you can see here with the cooperate and defect texts. I also love, again, that I can just zoom in and show you exactly what I'm trying to look at. Now, of course, there are a few quirks. The biggest thing is that sometimes it just randomly disconnects from the server, so when you're trying to write and it shows this little banner up at the top that says it's disconnected, that will cause you to move wherever you're writing. Last thing I do want to mention, if I pull up my laptop right here, is the ability for you to easily and quickly sync on the cloud. So I have OneNote installed on my laptop, and oftentimes if I'm taking notes in class, let's say for a math problem, I can copy that math problem into the notebook that I'm using for the iPad, and then very quickly I can annotate it. So if I open up this same notebook here, you can see already all the changes that I made on the iPad are saved on the laptop. If I enter some text right at the bottom, you can see that shows up incredibly quickly. And plus, if I take a screenshot and paste this right in as an object, you can move it around just as you move around text. You can change the size of it, and as you can see already, that is present on the iPad. Back to the iPad now, maybe mark this up. I've seen that it takes a bit longer to sync from iPad to computer, but this has still been a very helpful experience. I honestly do this all the time with all these different images, all of these different annotations. I can annotate directly on the image, or I can annotate around the image, and it's honestly a great extension of not only the Apple Notes, but it's honestly an excellent extension of the notebook itself, instead of having to take snippets and stuff. And let's say you're handwriting with the Apple Pencil or whatever, and you get really tired, you can just quickly go over to your laptop, start typing up the rest of your notes, and there is no problem trying to sync that together. And that is just scratching the surface. Of course, there is much better sharing utilities. Even 5-6 years ago, I had class notebooks where I was able to collaborate with my classmates, and plus there is a web interface for OneNote, so if you're on the go or whatever and you need to make a quick change, you can absolutely do that through a web browser. So with that said, guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye-bye.